Hello and welcome to the Witch Diaries. We are talking today about a plant associated with Pluto and our little exemplar for Pluto. And so just take it away, Raven.
We're going to talk about artichoke.
Ooh, okie dokie, artichoke.
So interesting too, because I didn't really know like anything really about plants associated with Pluto. But everything that you said is in the artichoke, and it's so crazy how that just happens, because I feel like a lot of things in like either the witchy community or even like the plant and herbal community, there's people who kind of like disagree and debate, which, we love doing that. But it's also interesting when you find that it perfectly overlaps, like what two people say or do or find like perfectly overlaps.
I love that. Ooh, I'm excited.
Okay, so Latin name is basically just the genus Cynara, and we'll talk about the three common species. So parts used are leaves, and also I put this in here just because I thought it was interesting. So the leaves, if you eat artichokes, typically we eat like the bottom part, like you peel the leaf off and you scrape it on your teeth. And so that specific part that we scrape is called the fleshy lower portions of the involucral bracts.
Oh, how fun.
Is very scientific sounding. And then also flower petals, the stalks, and the heart, which is technically called the fleshy center of the immature artichoke flower. Just in case anybody doesn't know, artichokes are like flowers, they bloom. And so if you don't cut them and like want to eat them, if you just let them bloom, then they bloom into a beautiful little flower. There is no folk names other than just like the names in different languages. So it's mostly just called like artichoke or the specific, like the name of the specific type of artichoke. So the most common is the globe Cynara, is the globe, there should be a comma there, that's fine. The globe artichoke, which is the Cynara cardunculus, also known as the Cynara scolymus. And oftentimes when we're talking about the globe artichoke, we're just referring to it as artichoke. We also have the Jerusalem artichoke, which is not related to like this like globe artichoke. It's not an actual artichoke. It's related to sunflower. So this is the artichoke. This is the Jerusalem artichoke. So this is a flower, and then typically you would eat the root. So even though it still uses the name artichoke, it's not a real artichoke. And then we have the cardunculus.
Is that also a sunchoke? Like the Jerusalem?
It's not the same as a sunchoke, but it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Yes, very similar.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. And then the cardoon artichoke, which is scolymus, cardunculus, and this is just called cardoon. So typically if somebody says artichoke, they're talking about the globe artichoke, this one, and if somebody's talking about the cardoon artichoke, they will call it the cardoon. Now the cardoon and the artichoke are related. We'll get into the history of that in just a second. But something interesting is if you're using the globe artichoke, typically you eat either the heart or the bottom of the leaves like we talked about. But if you're eating the cardoon, you can still eat the leaves. They are not tasty. And typically they eat the stalks.
Oh.
So it's eaten differently.
That's rad.
Yeah. So artichokes are a type of thistle. I think we might have talked about thistle before, I can't remember, but this is artichoke, or this is cardoon, and then these are just two different types of thistles. So you can see that they all look a little similar because they're part of the same family. And the globe artichoke is the domesticated version of the cardoon, which is wild. So the cardoon was it's a wild growing plant. It had been domesticated and like tweaked a little bit, and then we got the globe artichoke. Nice. The cardoon was native to the Mediterranean, and then we'll talk about the spread a little bit, but it's still eaten quite often in the Mediterranean, and it's considered a delicacy, the cardoon. So there was some debate over whether the artichoke was like food that the ancient Greeks and Romans would eat, or if it was the cardoon. So we don't exactly know when the cardoon was domesticated to become the globe. So we don't know if like ancient Romans and ancient Greeks ate cardoons or artichokes. We do know they ate something of that because we found seeds and stuff, and also through literature. So the cardoon is mentioned as a garden plant in the 8th century BCE by Homer. And then Pliny, our good friend Pliny, talked about it. And the cardoon, which he called the cardus. And then in North Africa, we have found the seeds of artichokes. We're calling it artichokes because we're assuming that it was already domesticated. During the excavation of Roman period Mons Claudianus? Claudianus in Egypt. Claudianus, yeah. And they get pretty massive.
They do.
Very big.
Nice.
So then when we're talking about the spread, we know that the Dutch introduced artichokes to England, and then Henry VIII was like obsessed with them. He had them in his garden. He ate them a lot, which we'll talk about.
Dude is wild.
Yeah.
Everything we hear about King Henry VIII just blows my mind.
Weird. Yeah, so weird. So then mid-17th century artichokes were like really fashionable and really popular in European courts. People would have them as like decorations and carvings. They would make sure that they had the plants around. They were like just considered just like cool and very fashionable. And then the hearts were considered a luxury ingredient in like the 1600s. And we saw a lot of artichoke hearts being cooked in like France. And a lot of people are including them in their literature and their writing at this point. So during this time, like the mid 1500s, artichokes were considered to have aphrodisiac properties, which you mentioned in Pluto. And that was another reason why King Henry VIII was obsessed with them, because he wanted to be as potent as possible. So he would just like slamming artichokes into his mouth.
Yeah, because he needed an heir. Yeah. And he like produced terrible children, like they were weak and they were like horrible. Yeah. Like he did not, he was not very fertile, and and like who knows if those children were even his.
Honestly, so bad. And so then we see it in the United States, where in the 19th century, French immigrants came to the States and brought it to Louisiana, and then Spanish immigrants came and brought it to California. So in the 19th century, we have it coming into the States from like both sides almost. So artichokes can be made into an herbal tea, which I did not know actually. So in Vietnam, there's an infusion known as tra, which is basically like an herbal alternative to green tea. So it gives you like the same health benefits without the caffeine, basically, of like green tea leaves. And then in Romania, there's an infusion called Ceai de Ancare. And I could not, so okay, with this Vietnam infusion, what they do is they boil the artichoke. So you clip off all of you use the globe part, you clip off all the brown parts, you trim the thorns on top, and then you boil it just like you would like if you're going to eat the leaves or steam it. But in this case, you boil it and then you drink the water. Like the water is what gives the infusion, which doesn't sound great, but it's supposed to be very healthy. And I love artichokes. I mean, I go ham with artichokes, but I can't really imagine drinking that water. But hey, you know.
I was little, my parents loved artichokes. We ate so many artichokes. My mom had like a big special artichoke pan that was like big and then like shallow, so that she could like put like a little bit of water and steam them all. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I don't even like dip mine in anything. I just eat them like that. So good.
I dip mine in deadly things. Either mayonnaise or drawn butter or something deadly.
I mean, it is good with like butter, but I'll just like salt the shit out of the water and then just eat the leaves, and it's super good. You can also My dad doesn't dip them either, but he puts Old Bay seasoning in the water and then eats them. It's pretty good. Anyways, so in Romania, I could not find anything in English about how to make this drink because I would put this in the search bar, or I even put like that name, infusion or tea or ingredients or recipe, and everything was just in like other languages. So I don't know how they make that, but that's a popular drink there. And then in Mexico, they also do an infusion, but they use the flower petals, so like the purpley top part instead of the like lobe portion. Okay, so we're gonna do a little story time.
Yay.
So this is a story from the Sioux people, and it's called The Artichoke and the Muskrat. So on the shore of a lake stood an artichoke with its green leaves waving in the sun. Very proud of itself it was, and well satisfied with the world. In the lake below lived a muskrat in his teepee, and in the evening, as sun would set, he would come out upon the shore and wander the bank. One evening, he came near the place where the artichoke stood. "Ho, friend," he said, "you seem rather proud of yourself. Who are you?" "I am the artichoke," answered the other, "and I have many handsome cousins." "But who are you?" "I am the muskrat, and I too belong to a large family. I live in the water. I don't stand all day in one place like a stone." The artichoke said, "If I stand in one place all day," retorted the artichoke, "at least I don't swim around in stagnant water and build my lodge in the mud." "You are jealous of my fine fur," sneered the muskrat. "I may build my lodge in the mud, but I always have a clean coat. But you are half buried in the ground, and when men dig you up, you are never clean. And your fine coat always smells of musk," jeered the artichoke. "That is true," said the muskrat, "but men think well of me nonetheless. They trap me for the fine sinew in my tail, and handsome young women bite off my tail with their white teeth and make it into a thread." "That's nothing," laughed the artichoke. "Handsome young warriors, painted and splendid with feathers, dig me up, brush me off with their shapely hands, and eat me without even taking the trouble to wash me off." There you go. It said that this story is supposed to kind of convey how important both animals and plants are to the people.
I love that.
Yeah. Nice little story. Okay, so little physician, non-physician.
We're not.
Non-physician notice.
I love that.
So the medicinal properties aren't, there's not a ton. It's mostly used in like culinary and like what's the word? Like the way that it looks in gardens. But it's a diuretic and antioxidant, digestive. It has a lot of fiber. Anti-chlorolstormic, basically like just lowers your cholesterol. And York, of course.
Of course.
Of course. Okay, so again, we're not physicians, but according to sources online and some journal articles, we find that eating artichoke leaves or heart improves the liver. It contains really high level, it contains a lot of antioxidants, and it's high level of the antioxidants. So things like serotonin and silymarin, which protect the liver from damage and promote growth of new tissue. So it's supposed to be good for the liver. It also helps control your cholesterol, again, because of antioxidants, especially, oh, I don't like that proved.
What?
Hang on. You should never say proven in research.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Yeah, never. Nothing in, not even gravity is said to be proven. Like nothing in science or research is ever proven. It's only supported or disproven. What else? Oh yes. So then the antioxidant lutein, which is another antioxidant that helps to prevent cholesterol like production. So it'll help, it doesn't get rid of the cholesterol you have, but it helps keep your cholesterol from raising. It's also said to help fight the growth of cancer cells due to, again, more antioxidants and flavonoids, which protect the body against cancer. So high antioxidant level.
Nice.
Yeah. It's also good for digestive system. So most plants, well, vegetables at least have fiber. Uh, and so that's not really anything new. However, artichokes have a lot of fiber. And it's a specific like type of fiber that helps play a role also in prebiotics. So this specific type of fiber, I think all fiber does that a little bit, but this type of fiber especially is really good for prebiotics. So it's good for your gut. And because of that, it's good for indigestion, bloating, heartburn, nausea. And also because of the prebiotics, it can help reduce risk of intestinal cancer. And then it also improves bone health because it's pretty high in a lot of vitamins and minerals, especially things like magnesium and other ones. And these vitamins are correlated to show with like positive bone health. So it's supposed to help fight off osteoporosis.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. So magical associations. So planet, some people say Mars, some people say Pluto. I could see both, I suppose. Especially because, well, and so then the element is listed as fire or air oftentimes. I also saw one place that mentioned water, but most said fire or air.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't find any card for it. But the signs are Scorpio, which kind of makes sense because they have that little pricker, but they're also like very sweet and like beautiful inside. And I also
It also goes back to Pluto too, because Pluto
yeah,
was ruled by Scorpio. So
definitely, yeah, definitely. And then also Capricorn, and people said Capricorn because you have to like really work at it, right? You have to like trim it and wash it and boil it for a long time. You have to like work at it before you can get to like the good stuff. So they associated that with Capricorn. So the 17th century almanac suggests that artichokes should be sowed in March, just after the full moon, when the moon is waning. It is a big time aphrodisiac, which we talked about a little bit with King Henry VIII, which also ties in beautifully to Pluto. And then also protection because again of the thorns. And a lot of people who don't eat artichokes often maybe don't realize like how prickly those thorns on the top are. When I worked at a grocery store, whenever artichokes were on sale, we would have a handful of people every day coming to us asking us if we have tweezers or something to get those pricks out. And so even though it's just like one per leaf, like if you're not used to handling artichokes, like once I'm sure like you ate them all the time, so there's like you pick them up by the stem, right? Or you pick them up with the leaves down.
exactly.
People who aren't super familiar with that might not realize it, but so because of that, it's associated with protection because of those like pricks. Also change because, which we'll talk about all of these, but change because it really does change. I mean, if you look at like the way that it looks very hardy to begin with, but then if you leave it to mature, it turns into like this beautiful, super, super like radiant purple
with all the little like delicate.
Yeah,
it's very delicate looking.
It is super delicate, which is so contradictory to when it's in this form because it's like pretty sturdy. So where are we at? Yes, so change associated with change, and then also a backbone because the plants are really sturdy. The stalks are super thick, and so they're like move with like they're massive, and so they don't really like bend and waver. They stand really strong. So associated with backbone for that reason. So it's also a hermaphroditic plant because it has both male and female organs, which we've talked about before. And so it's for people who like keeping masculine and feminine energy like in balance, this is a great plant. I don't mind having a surplus of feminine like stuff in my working. It is good to bring in some masculine, you know, but if you're into like the balance of those two or the two forces working together, then this is a good one. What else? Oh, it represents courage because again, it stands really strong and sturdy. It doesn't waver. And then also change, things being not what they seem, again, like because we see this change where it's like really hardy and stocky and looks cool, but it's not really beautiful. And then it transitions into this like delicate, beautiful, very colorful flower.
Nice.
Associated with protection, as we talked about before, because of the thorns and stuff. And so it might be good in like warding or exorcism, setting boundaries, banishing, things like that. Also, something interesting is that artichokes will change the flavor of the next thing you eat because they temporarily change your taste buds. Actually, they change your like papillae, which is so it doesn't even matter. But your taste buds don't taste anything. Your taste buds are kind of like little helmets on your papillae, and your papillae is what actually tastes. So it changes like your papillae temporarily because of this compound called cynarine. And so basically anything that you eat after the artichoke tastes sweeter. And it doesn't last a long time. I think it lasts like 15 minutes or something. But I guess like sommeliers hate artichokes for this reason because it's really
like it screws with the wine taste.
It does. It screws with the wine tasting.
I smell trash.
Yeah. Oh, so
I
funny.
love all those things you can smell. And
yeah.
Trash is one of them.
You're like, this smells amazing. And then you get home and you're like, this is not at all what I remember.
Exactly.
So it's cool. I didn't see this online, but in my head, this reminds me of like a glamour almost,
yeah.
Like that's what I got from it, which was pretty cool. And then peeling away the layers of the artichoke can represent like getting to the heart of a problem, kind of like you would peel an onion, right? Like you need to peel off all of these leaves to get to the heart. And I found somewhere said seeing an artichoke in a drink can mean you are stifling your own creativity or that you need to release your own potential, which I kind of like.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's it.
Nice. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Very nice. Well, we are at the end of this series. So did you have any, we made a decision that we were going to just go through whatever herb we wanted to do, like witchy herbs, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, we'll go through that. Like, we have like a list, and so we'll update the list of the herbs that we've done, and we'll just pick something that's not on the list of the herbs we've done already.
Perfect. I'm excited. Yay! Awesome. Well, we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.